YouTube and welcome to Theater Talk. So today is July 3rd and that means that Hamilton is out on Disney+. I just watched it this afternoon and I'm going to be talking about it in today's video. I think I am going to include a spoiler alert on this video because if you haven't seen Hamilton ever, go watch it on Disney+ now because it's available there. So I'm going to be talking about like things throughout the entire show. So yeah, spoiler alert. If you're new here, hello, my name is Tori Cyclic. I make new videos every Sunday for Cyclic Sunday with other videos throughout the week. If you like what you see, like this video down below and subscribe while you're down there as well. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok in the description at tss6295. Now, let's get into the video. So when they announced that Hamilton was going to be coming to Disney+ on July 3rd, today, July 3rd, I was so excited about it because one, I thought it was going to be in like a year and a half. I think it was supposed to come out October 2021 in movie theaters. So I was really thrilled that they decided to move that date up and also put it on Disney+ and make it available for everybody during quarantine. In addition, since Hamilton has been on Broadway, I have never been able to get a ticket to it because it's too expensive and I was never able to win the lottery and I just never really had the time to see it. So this was like a great way for me to actually finally get to see Hamilton. I have listened to the cast album a bunch of times. There was a point where I was listening to it on repeat for a little while and I was really curious to see if Hamilton on Disney+, just in general as well, would live up to the hype that it has been hyped up to over the years. I've also always had an interest in Hamilton because throughout college and some of my musical theater dance classes, we would learn choreography from Hamilton from different TV performances and Tony performances. So I've always been really interested in the show and I think the show is really interesting choreographically as well from what I've learned. So I wanted to see it all in action. So that was another thing that got me really excited about seeing it on Disney+. Also, I always wanted to see the original cast of Hamilton, so this is a nice way to do that. And it's a good way to have that preserved for the rest of time, having the original cast on film. So to start off right from the beginning of the show, I noticed right from the beginning that choreographically this show was going to be like so up my alley because of the storytelling part of it. Andy Blankenbuehler is an absolutely insane, incredible choreographer and all of his stuff is just so good. And I knew I was going to love watching it, but I never really knew how much storytelling was included in his choreography. Specifically for Hamilton, I think Andy Blankenbuehler really took the lyrics and the story of the script and really took that into account when he was creating the choreography and made that a huge part of how the characters and the ensemble tell the story of Hamilton and everything that happens in the entire show. And in the opening number, there's two lines about Hamilton's mother's death and his father's suicide that are just choreographed so brilliantly by Andy Blankenbuehler that I was already like so on board with what I was going to be watching for the rest of the show. I knew this already from listening to the cast album, but Lin-Manuel Miranda's lyrics and his book are just so yummy, if that's the right way to say it. That's how I'm going to describe it. I'm a person who likes to watch things with subtitles, and Hamilton is a really good one to watch with subtitles because I was able to see all of the rhyme schemes and rhyme patterns written out in the text of the subtitles, and I feel like for me that added to the experience of watching Hamilton. Lin-Manuel Miranda's rhyme schemes are so inventive because they're not very obvious rhymes and there's a lot of slant rhymes and things that you wouldn't expect to rhyme together, and then all just like fluty language, a political language that I don't understand that he's put together to rhyme in lyrics. It's just brilliant, really, it's brilliant. I think the revolving stage is such a good stage convention and it works so well for Hamilton. I especially think it's really effective in My Shot and a couple other numbers in the show, but that was the first one where I was like, ooh, this revolving stage really works for how choreography is done in the show, how the show is lit, how the staging is done. It's just used in a very smart way and it's not like it's done because there's no reason for having a revolve stage. They use the revolve stage in a very smart way throughout Hamilton, which makes it a part of the show and doesn't feel like you're being taken out of the world of it. I think the filming for this production of Hamilton is so well done because it doesn't feel invasive and it helps to keep you in the story because it's showing you different angles, so it feels like you're watching the show from different places in the theater, in the auditorium of the theater. Then you get nice close-ups so you get to see more of the emotion as well. I think it was just very smartly done the way they filmed the whole production, and I was thrilled with it because I didn't feel like I was being taken out of the story at all. I felt like I was watching a show or watching a movie, but it didn't feel like I was like, oh, this is being filmed a very specific way. It just felt like it was supposed to be done that way and supposed to be seen that way. I really love that the costumes in the show are kind of blank canvases where things are added to them. Everybody in Hamilton pretty much has a base costume that's like a beige costume with a little bit of different things on them, but they're pretty much gender neutral for boys and girls. Like you get a little bit of a like vest for the guys and a little bit of a corset for the girls, but it's still pretty gender neutral. And having it be that kind of a blank canvas really lends to the idea that the ensemble can do pretty much anything anything in the show, whether they be a boy or a girl, they can do a lot of different things throughout the show. And I think this idea that the costumes are fairly gender neutral allows for everybody in the show to kind of have their own tracks in it in regards to what choreography they do, what lines they sing, but also it doesn't necessarily have to conform to the gender that they are, being male or female. I say this in particular because of Ariana DeBose, in my opinion, from what I saw in the production. I may be wrong about this, but from what I perceived from when I was watching, it looked like Ariana DeBose was doing some moments where she was doing male choreography and some moments where she was doing female choreography throughout the show. And I didn't really think too much about it because I was like, well, they're all people in the ensemble. They're not like specifically male or female in a certain sense. It just felt like everybody could do anything on stage that they were assigned to do. It doesn't have to be like, oh, you're a female, you have to do this. Oh, you're male, you have to do this. It felt like it could kind of blend throughout everybody, if that makes sense. Along with that idea, the ensemble in Hamilton is so good. And I feel like every single person in the ensemble had a standout moment too, which is really nice because a lot of shows aren't like that. And Hamilton, I think every single person had like a little solo line or a little dance break that they had featured. It was really cool to see that as somebody who dances in the ensemble a lot in shows, to see that Hamilton gives everybody that opportunity to shine. Jonathan Groff as King George is hilarious. He's definitely meant to be a comic relief moment throughout the show, and he does that so well. I've always been a huge fan of Jonathan Groff. I think his voice is absolutely incredible, but I just love what he does with the character of King George. He plays the comedy of it, the anger that he's feeling towards the Americans and what's happening in the revolution, but then how he's like, oh, I'm just gonna deal with all of this in my own kind of way. It's just very nuanced acting, and he does it so well, and the character choices that he makes are just incredible. And Jonathan Groff really commands the stage as King George, and he doesn't have that much stage time, but he really owns it as himself. And I think specifically his little walk that he does in the beginning before he even starts singing just shows how much power King George can have as a character, and however you play it, it can take on a lot of different meanings and a lot of different things. I wanted to shout out John Rua, who's in the ensemble. He also plays Charles Lee. He has just such an amazing stage presence that I just kept looking for him in the ensemble. He also got a lot of different little spotlight moments when he was in the ensemble dancing, which I really love because I feel like he has a really amazing stage presence and really owns it when he's moving and singing and doing everything he's doing on stage in Hamilton. I really loved the ensemble and their choreography in Right Hand Man when they're introducing George Washington. I just felt like it was such an effective way to introduce a character and then make his presence become a really big, important part of the show. All of the scene transitions throughout Hamilton are done so seamlessly, and that's in part to lighting, set design, and the Revolve stage. David Corins created the set for Hamilton as well as Beetlejuice and a bunch of other shows as well, and he just has such an amazing eye for creating sets that can switch around to look completely different in a matter of seconds. So I think that everybody who worked together on that part of the show, specifically for all the scene transitions, really made it an effective, amazing, beautiful part of the show that doesn't take you out of it either. I really felt like I was still enjoying the show, not being like, oh, they're doing a scene transition. It really felt like it was a real part of the show. The little rewind moment in Satisfied where Angelica says rewind, I literally gasped at the screen because it was so good. The way it was filmed for this film production of Hamilton was just brilliant. Honestly, I don't know how else to describe it, but brilliant. And then the way it's lit and choreographed, just all that coming together on screen, I was like, I can't wait to see this live because this moment is gonna blow my mind. Renee Elise Goldberry plays Angelica Schuyler, and she's just amazing. She really takes you on Angelica's journey emotionally throughout Satisfied, of watching her sister get the man that she had a crush on first and wanted to be with first, and seeing how the relationship changes with Hamilton when she's not with him, and seeing everything with that. I was just like really taken on that emotional journey with her. Also, her vocals are incredible, so I was just living for it the entire time. I think Satisfied is one of my favorite numbers in the show because it's also very well staged too, because you get to see different moments of Angelica by herself watching what's happening with Eliza and Hamilton, and then watching other people and her interaction with Hamilton. It was just really well done. Leslie Odom Jr. plays Aaron Burr, and he really just eats up the role entirely and takes you on Aaron Burr's journey emotionally and character-wise so well. Leslie Odom Jr. makes so many incredible choices as an actor throughout the entire show that you're really invested in him as a character, even though he can be seen as the villain of the show because he kills Hamilton, but you just want to feel for him in certain parts of the show, I think, especially in Wait For It, because also vocally he's really taking you on the journey because his voice is just amazing. Like, I literally can't even describe it any other way. I just love listening to him sing, and I really felt like Wait For It was a big moment for Aaron Burr as a character because of how Leslie Odom Jr. played him. I really love the number, the 10 Dual Commandments. I know when I was listening to the recording of it, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that song, but watching it, I got it. I understood why it's such a great number. Anthony Ramos, who plays John Lawrence, and John Rua, who plays Charles Lee, in that scene, they really played well off of each other in this duel that the two characters are having. It really felt electric watching them do this, especially also because of the way it was filmed and staged with the counting off to 10 and then the shots that were taken. It was a really electric moment in the show that felt different from other moments that had happened in the show and kind of foretold what else was going to be happening and how you were going to be seeing the other duels that happened. I just really loved it. The song That Would Be Enough is a really nice emotional break in the show because you get to see a different side of Hamilton, as well as the music sounds a bit different too, so you're getting to see a different part of Lynn's writing as a musician and the arrangements that were done as well, but you also get to see a different side of the story too. Throughout the entire show, I was really impressed with Daveed Diggs. I've seen clips of him online doing his stuff as Lafayette and as Jefferson, so I already knew what to expect, but it was just so good. Guns and Ships is still incredible. That fast rapping that he does, I'm like, how in the world can I understand what you're saying and you be telling a story here? And it's just so amazing. I love Chris Jackson, who played George Washington. I think his acting is incredible because there's a lot of subtle choices, but then he knows when to go for it as well. And also his voice, it's like butter. I'm just saying, like, everybody in the show has incredible voices, and it just made me really happy as a musical theater person just to be watching the show and listening to it and like feeling all the vibes of it. Everybody, their voice is just incredible. World Turned Upside Down is one of my favorite numbers throughout the entire show, mainly because of the choreography of it. World Turned Upside Down is a moment in the show that is very driven by choreography telling the story, and once again, Andy Blankenbuehler does it brilliantly. The little dance break that's in the middle of the number right before there's a man standing on the parapet with the white flag is one of the best choreographic breaks I have ever seen in my entire life, because you get all of the storytelling through it. You don't need the words there because the ensemble is really taking on a huge role of taking the story and bringing it to life through choreography, and then it has the moment where it stops when the music changes and you get back to the lyrics, and it's just so well done. It's just so well done. In addition, you can really see the actor's emotional connection to the song when it gets back into the lyrics of it, because you can really see how they feel, not just as characters, but as actors themselves towards the lyrics that they are saying, which is a very powerful thing in a show to have. Dear Theodosia has always been one of my favorite numbers to listen to on the soundtrack, and I just think it's gorgeous when it's done in the show as well, because of the acting choices that Leslie Odom Jr. and Lin-Manuel Miranda choose to do. As fathers talking to their sons and daughters about the future that they're trying to create for them, I just think it's a very beautiful moment. And also, it's a nice break in the show as well, so it gives you a moment to chill out before the action starts up again. In the song Nonstop, Aaron Burr and Hamilton have a conversation to this incredible bit of music that I heard it and I was like, oh my god, I'm obsessed, because again, I remember listening to the cast album and being like, I don't know how I feel about this song, but then hearing it while watching it, I was like, I totally get it, I completely get what's going on here, and it's so good. It's just like peak Lin-Manuel Miranda musical genius. I think What Did I Miss as the Act 2 opener is a really strong way to start off the second act of the show, because it does sound different musically than the rest of the show, and Daveed Diggs as Thomas Jefferson is just so smooth throughout it. Like, lyrically, he's not doing a ton of fast rapping, so you get to hear a different part of him vocally, but also just how he moves across the stage just feels very like chill, awesome, smooth, like just very like cool guy. I love that the cabinet battles, I think there's 3 of them in the show, that they're all done like rap battles. I think it's such an inventive way to make history interesting and fun and a good part of the story. It also really fits into how Hamilton is done, so it makes sense that they did the cabinet battles as rap battles, because yeah, just the way musically it works, it just makes a lot of sense with Hamilton as a show. I think Jasmine Cephas-Jones, specifically as Mariah Reynolds, was a real standout in the show because vocally she does so amazing in Say No to This, and also acting wise too, she's just incredible, but I thought vocally she really stood out in that number. I love the song The Room Where It Happens. I feel like a lot of the songs that I'm like really drawn to are the ones that Aaron Burr sings, just because Leslie Odom Jr. just eats up the music so well and sings it so amazingly. But this one had a ton of great storytelling and a lot of different perspectives from different characters. And yeah, Leslie Odom Jr. also has so many different words that he says in this one. Like, it's a very, very wordy song, but like you can understand everything. He's making it very clear. So I was like, once again, love it so much. I really love the rap flow in Washington on Your Side between Jefferson, Madison, and Burr, because it really felt like they were all in the pocket of the beat of the music, and it just felt like a normal conversation that was happening. It didn't feel like, oh, we are talking in rhythm to the beat. It sounded like they were just talking and there was music that happened to be there, and that's a really good moment to have, specifically in a show that's mostly sung through like Hamilton. Hurricane is a very powerful number in the show, and I think it's staged so well, and it just uses all of the conventions that are provided with lighting, the rotating stage, choreography, all of that stuff. It just uses everything it has on stage and does it brilliantly. Philippa Sue singing Burn broke my heart completely, just into a million pieces. Vocally, this is a real standout for her, but also acting wise, her choices are very subtle, but you can also just really see the emotion bubbling up inside her as a character and as an actor. And I was just like, that's a very powerful thing, because she doesn't start that number at a 10. It doesn't even necessarily build to a 10, because you're getting to see the emotion bubbling up to the surface for what it's going to be for the rest of the show. And the scenes around when Philip Hamilton gets shot, it is done so well staging wise, because how he gets shot and the way that they filmed it and the way that it was staged is just a very effective moment choreographically and staging wise, because you really get to see the actors use their physicality very well. And then acting wise, Philippa Sue broke my heart once again, because she's just amazing. The moment where she just breaks down crying, I was like, oh my god, my heart is breaking for her. And watching her and Lynn interact together on stage, watching Anthony Ramos, who was playing their son, die, I was like, and then Lynn's acting in It's Quiet Uptown really reflected from the acting in the scene before, because you get to see the emotional journey that Hamilton is going on and how his world is falling apart and he's starting to break down emotionally and realize what's going on with his life after losing his son. So you really get to see that journey on stage for him. It's not like he goes off stage and he's like immediately crying. You get to see all of it happen on stage. That's a very powerful thing in my opinion. You can really see Aaron Burr's reaction and feeling towards Hamilton choosing Jefferson to be endorsed by him, because of the choices that Leslie Odom Jr. makes as an actor. He just reacts to everything that's happening to him on stage so well, and it's so effective as an audience member. You really get to see the real emotions that he's having as a person, and it doesn't feel like it's manufactured at all. It feels very real. The bullet moment, best moment in the entire show. I have to say it. I literally wrote in my notes, because I wrote notes throughout the entire show that I can talk about in this video. I wrote, wow, 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 because it was just amazing. Having Hamilton talking with no music behind him, going through what's going through his mind, so incredibly powerful. Just like speed thinking through it as he's watching a bullet come towards him while he's getting shot, amazing. The Eliza moment in it, amazing. Just the whole thing, amazing. And a shout out to Ariana DeBose as the bullet, because that choreography is incredible. Her physicality in it is just mind-blowing. And in the last number of the show, Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story, it's a very powerful and effective moment of the show, because you get to see other people's opinions of Hamilton, and then see how Eliza grew to become her own person after Hamilton died, and finish up what he started and try to change the world in that kind of way. And you get to see a woman taking on strength in her own life to achieve goals for herself, for her family, for her husband, for the people that she's lost in her life. It's a very, very powerful moment in the show. And my last thought on Hamilton, I love the bows. It's pretty much the whole company bowing together. They have an Eliza bow and a Hamilton bow, and then everybody bows together. And that just really lends to the fact that Hamilton is a very ensemble-based show. Even though it has very big moments for the named characters, it really is an ensemble-based show. And I think that's a very good way to honor the entire cast, having everybody bow together. That's all my thoughts about Hamilton on Disney Plus. I completely get the Hamilton hype now, because at first I was like, I don't know if it's gonna live up to the hype, like kind of how I felt about Dear Evan Hansen. I was like, I don't know if it's gonna live up to the hype of listening to the soundtrack and how many people have talked about it. Hamilton for sure lives up to the hype. And I can't wait for life to be more normal after coronavirus and quarantine, so I can see Hamilton in person. So those were all my thoughts on Hamilton on Disney Plus. If you have watched it, let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. And if there's anything else you'd like to see here on my channel, let me know about that in the comments down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching DFTBA, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!